Have you ever wondered what the universe looked like before light existed? Before there were stars, before there was warmth, before even the concept of color? Imagine a universe wrapped in endless darkness, cold, silent, infinite, no galaxies, no suns, no life, just a sea of invisible energy waiting. Then, in the heart of that darkness, the first sparks ignited, the era of cosmic fire had begun. In that instant, the universe lit up for the very first time. Stars, massive, burning titans, roared into existence, blazing across the void like divine lanterns in eternal night. They lived fast, burned hotter than anything we can imagine, and died in violent, beautiful explosions, scattering the seeds of creation across space. Those ancient stars, long gone now, were the true architects of everything you see. Every atom in your body, every grain of sand, every drop of water was once forged in the heart of those fiery giants. Their deaths created life. Their ashes built worlds. This was the dawn of beauty, chaos, and cosmic order. A time when galaxies began to swirl, constellations took shape, and the first chemical whispers of life began their journey through the stars. And as we look deeper into the night sky, we're not just seeing stars, we're looking back in time, billions of years, to the moment when everything began to shine. So buckle up, because what you're about to witness is not just astronomy, it's the origin story of existence itself. A story written in fire, told by the universe, and waiting to be rediscovered by you, right here. Before we unfold the secrets of this fiery beginning, make sure to hit that subscribe button, tap like, and drop a comment below, because this is just the start of the journey, and you don't want to miss what comes next. Close your eyes and imagine this, a universe that was once completely dark, no stars, no galaxies, no suns to warm the emptiness, nothing but an endless ocean of cold hydrogen gas drifting silently across infinite space. The Big Bang had already happened, but its brilliance had faded, leaving behind a cosmos without color, without warmth, without light. It was an age known to astronomers as the Cosmic Dark Ages, a time when the universe held its breath, waiting for its first spark. And then, after nearly 100 million years of stillness, the darkness began to stir. Tiny ripples of gravity, invisible waves moving through that vast sea of gas, began pulling matter together. Atom by atom, cloud by cloud, the universe started to gather itself. Gravity, the quiet sculptor of everything, began shaping the first great masterpiece, the birth of stars. In the depths of space, massive clouds of hydrogen and helium started collapsing under their own weight. As they fell inward, pressure rose and the temperature soared to millions of degrees. Inside those collapsing clouds, something extraordinary happened. Hydrogen atoms began fusing into helium. That moment, that spark, was the universe's first light switch turning on. It was the dawn of first light, the moment when darkness surrendered to fire. The first stars were not like the ones we see in our sky today. They were gigantic, hundreds of times more massive than our sun, burning with a brilliance so fierce that they lived only a few million years before dying in spectacular explosions. These ancient titans were pure energy, blazing blue, white, pouring ultraviolet radiation into the void, tearing apart the cosmic fog that surrounded them. For the first time in cosmic history, the universe became transparent. Light could finally travel freely. The blackness of infinity was pierced by countless points of fire, stars born from chaos, scattered across space like diamonds on velvet. Galaxies began to form around these newborn suns, swirling like cosmic hurricanes. Each of those stars was a furnace of creation. Inside their hearts, hydrogen fused into helium, helium into carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, the very elements that one day would make air, water, and life. But the process was both beautiful and destructive. The more massive a star was, the faster it burned its fuel and the sooner it reached its violent end. When these stars died, they did not fade quietly. They exploded, supernovas of unimaginable power that lit up entire galaxies, sending shockwaves of matter racing through space. In those moments of destruction, new elements were born. Iron, gold, calcium, even the carbon in our DNA. Every supernova became a cosmic seed, spreading the building blocks of existence across the universe. The darkness was no longer empty. It was filled with the ashes of life, drifting silently through the void, waiting to form new stars, new planets, new possibilities. If you look at the night sky today, every point of light is a messenger from that era. The photons that touch your eyes tonight may have traveled billions of years, beginning their journey in the hearts of those first stars. When you gaze at the Milky Way, you're not just looking into space, you're looking back in time, seeing echoes of the universe's first heartbeat. That first light wasn't just illumination, it was the beginning of everything. It marked the moment when the universe transformed from a silent, dark void into a living, breathing cosmos full of fire, motion, and purpose. And in that ancient fire, the story of you and me truly began. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the oxygen you breathe, all of it was once created inside those first stars that burned and died billions of years ago. We are not merely living in the universe. We are made of the universe, born from the ashes of its first light. The stars were not just the first lights in the sky, they were the universe's first promise that out of darkness, brilliance can be born. Out there in the newborn universe, Glowing faintly from the embers of the first light, gravity began its most breathtaking work yet. From the swirling clouds of gas that filled the cosmic void, titans began to form. These were no ordinary stars. They were monsters of flame and fury, enormous, magnificent beings that would burn brighter than 1,000,000,000 suns and live fast, die young, and reshape the universe forever. Imagine a storm of creation so vast that it could swallow entire solar systems before they ever existed. Within those storms, rivers of hydrogen and helium twisted and collapsed under gravity's relentless pull. Pressure built until temperatures reached unimaginable heights, millions of degrees. And then, just as before, fusion ignited. But this time, it wasn't a gentle spark. It was a cosmic detonation, a fire so intense that the darkness of the early universe melted away under its glow. The first giants were born. These were the population of 3 stars, the universe's original giants, massive, pure, and primal, each 100s of times larger than our sun, burning with the intensity of creation itself. They didn't twinkle softly in the night sky, they roared. They blazed with blinding blue-white light, each one a furious furnace where the raw materials of reality were forged. Their light swept across the young cosmos, transforming it. The radiation they unleashed tore apart clouds of gas, heating them, ionizing them, sculpting the first visible structures in space. Galaxies, still forming from the haze, began to shimmer like jewels suspended in the void. The universe was no longer a place of silence. It was alive with motion, color, and fire. But these stars were doomed from the moment they were born. The larger a star, the faster it burns its life away. These giants were gluttons for fuel, devouring their hydrogen and helium at terrifying speed. Within only a few million years, they reached the end of their lives. That may sound long to us, but in cosmic terms, it was the blink of an eye. As their cores filled with heavier and heavier elements, the delicate balance between gravity and pressure shattered. And when that balance broke, these stars collapsed inward in the blink of an instant, triggering explosions so powerful that space itself trembled. Supernovas of unimaginable energy erupted, sending shockwaves racing through the cosmos. In those brief, violent deaths, the universe was transformed again. These explosions scattered the first metals, elements heavier than helium across the galaxies. Carbon, oxygen, iron, and countless others spilled into the void, enriching the cold gas that floated between the stars. Without these cosmic deaths, there would be no planets, no oceans, no breath, no blood. The very atoms that make up you and everything around you were born in the fiery hearts of those colossal giants. And yet, not all of them died in explosions. Some were so enormous that when they reached their end, they didn't burst outward, they imploded. They collapsed completely, crushing themselves into singularities of infinite density. Black holes, the first black holes in the universe, these cosmic abysses began to devour surrounding matter, growing larger and more powerful, merging with one another over time. Many of the supermassive black holes that anchor galaxies today, including the one at the center of our own Milky Way, may have begun as the final remains of those first giant stars. So in every corner of the cosmos, the legacy of those titans lives on in the stars we see, in the planets we walk upon, in the atoms that form our very being. The light from those ancient giants still travels across space, faint and stretched by time, whispering the story of their brief but glorious lives. The universe remembers them, not as quiet suns, but as roaring fires of creation. They were the first architects of beauty, chaos, and life itself. They lived with unmatched brilliance, burned with divine fury, and in dying gave everything they had back to the cosmos. The first giants did not just exist in the universe, they built it. They were the creators and destroyers, the cosmic forges from which existence itself took shape. Every galaxy that shines today, every star that flickers in the blackness, every living thing that breathes and dreams, all trace their lineage back to those brilliant, fleeting giants of fire. Their story is not one of tragedy, but of transformation, a reminder that even the brightest flames, though brief, can light the path for everything that follows. In the aftermath of the first light and the death of the giant stars, the universe began to change shape. What had once been scattered clouds of gas and dust, drifting aimlessly in endless darkness, now started to dance under the invisible pull of gravity. Out of the ashes of the first generation of stars, the grand structures of the cosmos began to form. The quiet chaos of space slowly wove itself into order. This was the birth of the first galaxies, the vast, glittering cities of stars that would one day fill the night sky. Picture the universe then an immense, expanding ocean of glowing gas, thin as a whisper, stretching for billions of light years in every direction. Within that ocean, gravity was hard at work, gathering matter into invisible webs, cosmic filaments connecting everything like the roots of an infinite tree. In those intersections of the web, the densest regions began to collapse, pulling in gas, dust, and dark matter. There, inside those swirling knots, something extraordinary began, the creation of galaxies. At first, they were small and fragile, mere clusters of stars and gas bound together by gravity's delicate hands. These infant galaxies flickered faintly in the dark, unstable and chaotic, constantly colliding and merging with one another. Every collision was violent but also creative. When galaxies crashed together, they triggered bursts of star formation, explosions of light and color across the cosmos. Each merger gave birth to something larger, brighter, and more complex. Over millions of years, these star clusters merged into larger systems, the ancestors of the spiral and elliptical galaxies we know today. They spun faster and faster, flattening into vast disks of glowing stars and rotating clouds, and deep in the center of many of them, invisible and unstoppable, black holes, the remnants of the first giant stars, began to grow. They fed on gas and dust, pulling in everything around them, and in doing so, shaped their host galaxies. The energy from these hungry monsters blasted outward, sculpting the surrounding space and regulating how stars were born. Each galaxy became a universe in itself, billions of stars, surrounded by swirling nebulae and dark matter halos drifting together through the cosmic sea. Imagine the first spiral galaxies forming their delicate arms, rivers of starlight stretching for thousands of light years. The earliest elliptical galaxies, massive and ancient, became dense balls of golden fire, their light painting the darkness with warmth and memory. But it wasn't just a story of beauty. The formation of galaxies was a story of violence, a cosmic ballad of destruction and rebirth. As gravity pulled everything together, the collisions between galaxies shook the heavens. Tidal forces tore stars from their homes, flinging them into space. Entire systems were consumed by larger ones, leaving trails of luminous debris behind them. Yet every act of destruction created new possibilities, new stars, new planets, new chances for life. Even now, billions of years later, that process has never truly stopped. Our own Milky Way, which shines across the night sky, was born from countless mergers of smaller galaxies. It still carries their ghosts, ancient clusters of stars orbiting like memories frozen in time. At its heart lies a supermassive black hole, millions of times more massive than our sun, silently holding the galaxy together. When we look up tonight and see the Milky Way stretched across the heavens, we are witnessing the legacy of that ancient era. Every faint glow, every distant shimmer is a message from the past, light that began its journey billions of years ago when galaxies first began to take form. That faint band of light is not just a decoration of the night, it's a story, a timeline of creation written across the sky. And beyond what we can see, the universe continues to expand, carrying these galaxies farther and farther apart, yet forever linked by their shared origin. The first galaxies were more than just structures, they were the framework upon which the universe would build everything, from stars and planets to life and consciousness itself. Those early formations turned chaos into structure, darkness into artistry, and emptiness into wonder. They became the backbone of the cosmos, the grand design that still defines everything we know. The stars that burn above us, the planets that cradle oceans, even the atoms within our bodies, all owe their existence to those first galaxies that formed in the wake of cosmic fire. In the silence of the infinite, gravity painted with patience and fury, and the universe became beautiful. Deep inside the blazing hearts of those first ancient stars, something miraculous was happening, something that would change the destiny of the entire universe. Within their fiery cores, under pressures and temperatures beyond imagination, atoms were being fused together, transformed into new and heavier elements. It was there in those cosmic furnaces that the raw ingredients for everything, for oceans, for rocks, for breath and blood, were being forged. This is the universe's first act of alchemy, the moment when light itself learned to make matter richer and more complex. When the first stars were born, they were made almost entirely of hydrogen and helium, the simplest and lightest elements left behind from the Big Bang. For millions of years, those were the only ingredients the universe had to work with. But as gravity pulled matter inward and fusion ignited, the stars began to cook. Hydrogen atoms collided and merged to form helium, releasing unimaginable amounts of energy, the very light that began to fill the cosmos. Yet deep inside those stars, the fire didn't stop there. In the most massive stars, the furnace grew even hotter. As the hydrogen fuel began to run out, gravity forced the core to compress further, driving temperatures to hundreds of millions of degrees. Under such extreme conditions, new reactions began. Helium fusing into carbon, carbon into oxygen, oxygen into neon, neon into silicon, and finally silicon into iron. Step by step, layer by layer, the stars became living forges manufacturing the elements that would one day make up everything from air to stone to life itself. But this process came at a terrible cost. Each new layer of fusion produced less energy than the last. When a star finally created iron in its core, it reached a dead end. Iron cannot release energy through fusion. Instead, it consumes it. The delicate balance that had kept the star alive, the struggle between gravity pulling inward and pressure pushing outward, began to fail, and in that moment, everything collapsed. The star imploded, falling in on itself faster than the speed of sound until its core reached densities so extreme that atoms themselves were crushed. Then, in a single heartbeat, the core rebounded, unleashing an explosion so powerful that it ripped the star apart. A supernova, a cosmic detonation bright enough to outshine entire galaxies, a final magnificent farewell. In that brief instant of destruction, the universe received its greatest gift, The force of the explosion fused even heavier elements, gold, uranium, silver, lead, and hurled them across the galaxy at incredible speeds. The dust and debris from those deaths mixed with clouds of gas, enriching them with these new elements. Those clouds would one day form new generations of stars, each richer than the last, each capable of creating planets, water, and eventually life. Every atom of carbon in your body, every molecule of calcium in your bones, every speck of iron in your blood, all of it was created in the heart of a star that lived and died billions of years ago. You are, quite literally, the dust of exploded suns. The universe didn't just make life possible, it made life inevitable through the endless cycle of creation and destruction. The stars were nature's first chemists, tirelessly transforming the simple into the complex. From their ashes came the foundations of everything we know. Their deaths were not ends, but beginnings, moments when the universe learned how to build worlds. Without those ancient forges, Earth could never have existed. The oceans would never have formed. The sky would never have turned blue. Every rock, every cloud, every living creature carries the fingerprints of those first stars. When you touch the soil beneath your feet or breathe in the air around you, you are connected to them, to the ancient furnaces that burned long before our sun was born. The stars didn't just light up the universe, they gave it substance. Through their fire, the void became rich. Through their death, the darkness became fertile. And through their endless cycle of burning, collapsing, and exploding, the universe became a place capable of dreaming, a place capable of life. When we look at the night sky and see the stars shimmering above us, we are not just witnessing light. We are witnessing history, the story of transformation, the proof that from chaos came creation and from fire came everything. There came a time when the universe trembled with violence. The peace of glowing stars and swirling galaxies gave way to chaos on a scale beyond imagination. The first giants, those ancient stars that had given light to the cosmos, met their spectacular and inevitable fate. One by one, they reached the end of their short, furious lives, and in dying, they unleashed the most powerful explosions the universe had ever witnessed. It was a time when creation and destruction became one, when death itself became an artist, painting the cosmos with brilliance. In the heart of each massive star, a battle had been raging for millions of years, gravity pulling inward, fusion pushing outward. For a time, they held each other in perfect balance. But when the fuel that kept that fusion alive was finally exhausted, gravity won. The core of the star collapsed, crushing itself inward with unimaginable force. At the same instant, the outer layers of the star were hurled violently into space, exploding with the power of 1 billion nuclear bombs. In a blinding flash that lasted only seconds, a supernova was born. If you could have witnessed it, had you been floating in the darkness of that young universe, you would have seen an entire galaxy light up. A single dying star could shine brighter than all the other stars around it combined. The shockwaves tore through nearby clouds of gas and dust, compressing them, igniting the birth of new stars even as the old ones died. It was a cycle of destruction feeding creation, a symphony of endings that became beginnings. In those explosions, something extraordinary happened. For the briefest moment, temperatures soared so high that new elements were born: gold, platinum, uranium, silver, the heavy metals that now rest deep in the cores of planets and glitter in the jewelry worn by civilizations billions of years later. Every precious metal, every rare element we know, was once created in the furious heart of a supernova. The universe was literally being forged in fire, but the power of these explosions did more than just scatter elements. The energy radiating outward reshaped space itself. Great waves of matter surged through the galaxies, stirring up clouds that would one day collapse into new stars, new systems, and eventually new worlds. The dust and debris ejected from those long, dead stars carried within them the seeds of everything that would come next, the ingredients for planets, oceans, and life. Some of the most massive stars didn't stop at supernova. Their cores collapsed so completely that they created black holes, regions of space where gravity became so strong that not even light could escape. These black holes grew over time, devouring gas, merging with others, and forming the colossal monsters that still lurk at the hearts of galaxies today. Even in death, those ancient stars continue to shape the universe, bending time, swallowing light, and influencing the rhythm of galaxies for eternity. Every flicker of light we see in the night sky is a messenger from that violent era, photons that began their journey in the aftermath of cosmic catastrophe. Even our own sun, gentle and steady compared to those titans, was born from the ashes of such destruction. The solar system itself was built from material left behind by countless supernovas. The dust of the dead, reassembled into something living. The great cosmic deaths were not an end, but a transformation. They filled the void with color, with energy, with possibility. From chaos came order. From explosions came structure. From death came life. When those stars tore themselves apart, they did not vanish, they became part of everything. And so when you gaze up at the stars tonight, you're looking at the aftermath of those ancient explosions. The light you see is the echo of that great cosmic firestorm, a silent reminder that even destruction can create beauty. The gold in your ring, the iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, All of it was born in that fiery chaos billions of years ago. You are, in the most literal sense, the child of stars that once died so you could exist. The universe is not just a place of creation, it's a place of renewal. Every end feeds a new beginning. Every death lights the path for new life. And somewhere deep in the eternal dark, that great fire still burns, the legacy of the stars that dared to die so that everything else could live. From the ashes of dying stars, the universe began to breathe again. The violence that had once torn galaxies apart now gave birth to harmony. Every explosion, every scattering of cosmic dust, every atom hurled into the void was the beginning of something new. Slowly, patiently, gravity gathered the remnants of those ancient fires, and from the chaos, the foundation for life was laid. This was the great legacy of fire, the silent inheritance of the stars that came before us. The universe, once a dark and empty stage, had now become rich with possibilities. Clouds of gas and dust floated through space, infused with the heavy elements forged in supernovas, carbon, oxygen, iron, silicon. These were no longer the simple materials of the early cosmos. They were the ingredients for worlds. Every fragment of dust carried within it the story of a dead star ready to be reborn as part of something new. As gravity continued its endless work, these enriched clouds began to collapse again, forming the next generations of stars. Around many of them, disks of debris formed, swirling, glowing rings of material that would one day become planets. In those disks, tiny grains of dust collided, stuck together, and grew. Over millions of years, they became pebbles, then rocks, then mountains, and finally, worlds. Planets were the children of destruction, sculpted from the remains of stellar death, warmed by new suns waiting for life to find them. This cycle, the endless rise and fall of stars, became the heartbeat of the cosmos. Each generation of stars inherited the ashes of the last, each one more complex, more capable of creating life. The first stars gave birth to the first galaxies, the next generations gave rise to worlds, and one small ordinary star in a quiet corner of the Milky Way would one day create a planet covered in oceans, clouds, and dreams. That planet would become Earth, a living testament to the fire that once ruled the heavens. The legacy of fire is written everywhere. It glows in the heart of every star that still burns. It rests in the iron core of every planet. It flows through the blood of every living creature. The oxygen we breathe was born in a star's heart. The calcium in our bones was forged in its flames. The gold that decorates our world is the dust of ancient explosions. We are not separate from the cosmos, we are its continuation, and even now, billions of years later, the cycle goes on. Stars still die and new stars are born. The galaxies continue their endless dance, creating and destroying, weaving new patterns across the universe. Somewhere far away, another world might be forming, a young planet waiting for its first sunrise, its first spark of life. All of it, every act of creation, owes its existence to the fire that came before. This is the ultimate truth of the cosmos, that beauty is born from destruction and life emerges from death. The stars did not die in vain. They became the architects of the future, the silent builders of everything that would ever exist. The fire that once burned in their hearts still burns in us, in every heartbeat, in every breath, in every dream that reaches for the stars. The legacy of the cosmic fire is not just written in the heavens. It lives here within you. You are the universe made conscious, a flicker of that same light that first broke the darkness. You are proof that the stars never truly died, they simply became alive in another form. And so the story continues. The universe still writes, still creates, still remembers. The same fire that once forged galaxies now flows through our veins. We are the children of that eternal flame, the living echo of the first light. This is the legacy of fire, the moment the universe learned to create life from its own ashes. Next topic will be the pre-human world. Earth just before us, before humanity ever took its first breath, Earth was already alive, teeming with creatures, climates, and cataclysms that shaped the world we inherited. It was an age of titans, extinctions, and miracles, the final chapter before the dawn of mankind.